Wait.
Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio. It's time again to slip over the border. No, not to Mexico. Not yet, anyway. I'm talking about Canada. Welcome to Albums from the Leaf, the first episode of 2024. Happy New Year to all our Canadian viewers, music aficionados from the North. Tonight, as always, it's any genre, any record. On the panel tonight, it's all Hawaiian. One of them is just up the street in a hotel room, getting ready to board a flight back home. Grateful dude who's had a marvelous time here in Buffalo and wanted to sit here and do this with me, but he hates my basement. And
marvelous, baby. Simply marvelous.
And Everett James, who will probably have to pick him up at the airport.
Probably.
What flight are you going? My bags.
Yeah, what flight are you going on? I need to make sure I put the bomb on the right one.
Yes. If you like what you see here...
Hey, better be quiet.
I didn't say nothing.
If you like what you hear here, click the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have, well, then I applaud you, and you are forever in my musical multiverse will. What will you get out of that? Nothing, I guess. I don't know. Can't promise you. Now, what did our panelists bring us tonight? Let's, so how was everybody? Happy New Year, Everett. I didn't get to say that to you. I just had dinner with Jeff.
Pretty good.
Very good?
It's loud. It was loud, but not as loud as we thought it was going to be, so.
Cool. You banging the drums all night long? Is that what it was?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Got 15 noise complaints in an hour. New record.
Ooh.
Cool.
And your neighbor's not even there to complain.
Yeah,
I wasn't even home to complain.
The spirit of him was there to complain, though.
Yeah, well, always is. Right on your shoulder.
So I'll let, considering where we're headed with this one, let's, I don't know, who should we start with? I'm going to start with Chef Jeff. Yep.
Okay. I thought you know where this is going. So
yes, I do.
I don't,
Everett,
and now I'm scared.
You need to close your ears.
Okay, my fingers are in my
your
ears.
folks out there, this album is X-rated or very close to it. I found this interesting group or duo out of Canada. They're still around and still playing your local lounges today.
Ugh.
They do sex song or sex comedy. And I will, for all you adults out there, I will recommend this album because it is funny as hell. And it's a nice 30 minutes of laughter. The writing's pretty good. And they're a good band, but let me tell you who they are. We're talking about the Wet Spots. And the album is Hello, Kinky.
Hello, Kinky.
And it's funny. From the first song to the last, it's absolutely hilarious. They basically have never allowed their names to be known, but they come on stage. But they have a pretty good guitarist and backup vocalist that does a lot. They're in the style of vaudeville, 40s, 50s, 60s, with a little New Orleans thrown in, a little Dixieland thrown in. They're hilarious. It's well done. All the songs are original, but they have to be. If you listen to them, nobody else is going to write this stuff. So, Mark commented to me a little one-dimensional. Yeah, but, you know, it's very funny. They're not there to be serious musicians, even though the sound quality coming out of the record is excellent. So, but they start out with a song called George. Well, it's really by Curious George. And then my next favorite is Texas Annie, about a door-to-door dildo salesman in Texas.
I feel like I shouldn't be here. I feel
And in
Mom
my
and Dad, if you're
absolute-
watching this, I had nothing to do with his choice.
Yeah.
I didn't know when I walked into this.
It's okay when I get home and make you listen to the whole album. So you.
I'm gonna be
And
like,
my
excuse me,
absolute
911.
favorite.
So in other words, what you're
Have you-
saying is there's going to be bondage so that he can listen to the album.
No.
And my absolute favorite song is Piggy Pile. And it's just hilarious. So, but this is a good, fun listen to obviously a band that's never been on the radio. So Beyond the Radio really fits for this. But for you guys out there, just want 30 minutes of a little bit of naughty music. This is a great album. It's fun from start to end.
Yeah.
And that's an easy. This is my easy. What I'm just gonna my first review of the year, but it's not my second review of the year.
Yeah, you've been busy since you've been here.
Woo!
Put you to work.
Yeah. Phew. I lost 11 pounds. Jeez.
Hey. You
Put it all back on in alcohol.
Hey. Gotta do it
Yeah.
somewhere.
You just pissed that out. So.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Okay, Mark.
So yeah, they are a husband and wife. But,
Yeah.
That makes it both simultaneously better and so much worse at the same
yes,
time.
all at the same time. Yeah, they've traveled the world. I mean,
Oh yeah,
there's-
they've done Australia, they've done Europe, they've done the United States. There's a lounge act that every airport wants.
yes.
Only Canada, really.
No.
Actually, yeah, maybe because they kind of have that Porky and the Juice Pigs kind of thing going on. All right, Everett, what do you have for us tonight?
All right. For today, I decided to go back to something that I know a little bit of, was not super familiar, and would listen to, I think, 2 songs off of the album. And that was from the band that has formed and reformed so many times I can still count it on one hand, but just barely. Bachman Turner Overdrive's
Overdrive.
Number two.
Number
Now,
2. How
which-
convenient for
Number
this
2.
episode.
2.
Got sex and crap. Nice. All right, I see where we're
Yeah.
headed.
This is by that I mean the Baby Shark album. No, we're getting this back to PG. So I knew Taking Care of Business and Let It Ride, and those were about the only. I think there was a third one that they do that's a lot more famous, but those are kind of their. What is it? Okay, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Taking Care of Business, and Let It Ride are kind of their 3 big ones. In my mind, those are the ones that, to me, that I've heard.
Right.
And all of them except for You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet are on this album. So I went into this album with really high expectations because those 2 songs in my mind are just absolute, bangers. Like, I mean,
Right.
I think it's, what is it? Let It Ride has that whole part about halfway through where you just start getting this like, and it's just like, you're just sitting there like bouncing your head the whole time.
Yep.
Just like tapping your feet to it. And I love it. And it like stops for like a solid, like, I think it stops for a full bar. And then you just think the song is over. And then it starts right back up and gets in and just keeps going. So I went into this album with some pretty high expectations. And I came out realizing why those 2 songs are the most well known on the list out of some of the most known songs of theirs. There was really only one song in the whole album, and I think that was here. I have the list right here. And that was I Don't Have to Hide, that I really thought was kind of a little bit of a stinker on the whole album. To me, the whole album's pretty high energy, and then this one just felt a little out of place. Like it just felt a little like sad, sluggish, just kind of generally like it's in the wrong album and didn't want to be there. It's kind of unfortunate.
They ran out of songs.
Yeah, they were like, we need to make this 8 because 7 ain't enough. But like Blown, Give It Time, Welcome Home, those were all good songs. But I can't really give them anything beyond good. They were good, but not great. Is kind of the way I got them. So I would generally call this album an album that has some really awesome, great highs, but also has a lot of kind of somewhat mediocre-ish music to it. Not that the music is bad, it's just, and that could very
Compared to
well
the
be
rest.
compared to those two songs, which I mean, it might be a little biased. The rest of that album, the two massive songs, like might be a little biased. But I can definitely see why those two were the ones that did the best off the whole album. So
Just
that
wondering what the session was. Did they have those ones already, or was it that they had the average ones, and the record label said, "I gotta have something I need some bangers. You got no bangers on you. Got a
Yeah.
great fill, but you got no bangers."
Yeah. Like all the songs on it, except for the I Don't Have to Hide one, were ones that I could put on my playlist, hit shuffle, and be totally fine with playing them.
I mean, because they both came out in the same year, right? One and two.
Yeah. One came out in 73. No, two came out in 73. And Bachman Turner. Okay, that's never. Hold up.
Could be wrong.
I'm not entirely sure. Bachman Turner. Yeah, they both came out in the same year.
Yeah, I thought so.
And the first album didn't do nearly as well, I don't think. And then the second, right?
All right. So when it comes to number 2, right? It's Taking Care of Business and Let It Ride.
Yeah.
And number 1, come on, Mark. Do this right.
Let it ride, let it ride, let it ride.
I can't think of where Ain't Seen Nothing Yet is.
Ain't Seen Nothing Yet is off their Fragile album.
Okay. Yeah, it's the next one, right?
Not Fragile. Not Fragile. Sorry.
Not Fragile.
The album is Not Fragile.
You're right. Correct.
Not
Fragile. It's the next one, 74. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. I was looking to see if it says what way they wrote them or whatever, but it doesn't seem to tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to be a fly on the wall, right? I mean, that's pretty much the idea. But
yeah.
I mean, you got Taking Care of Business that was written by Bachman, and Let It Ride was written by Turner. So when you share those things, apparently they both did well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder.
And like I said, none of the songs were bad. They just weren't amazing. Compared to those two, they could very easily blend into, like your local rock radio station and not really perk up any ears. But they're not like offensively bad by no means. And the sound production was great. There wasn't a single time where I was like, that's too loud or that's too quiet or that just sounds weird.
The
It was all
problem
very
with that,
pleasing on the ears. Sorry.
the problem with that band is it never had a lot of longevity. They really didn't.
No.
They had two albums that were really good, and then pretty much they just really died by the wayside. Because I remember them when they started. I was a young man, and they really didn't make it much into the 80s. They were a little bit here and a little bit there, but the band really fizzled out in some way.
Yeah.
Considering the talent they have.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I like the guy who sings. What's the singer's name?
Well, okay, so on that, I mean, Randy Bachman and also the other Bachman, the other guitarist. Is it Tim? No.
Robbie Bachman.
Robbie Bachman? Okay.
You had Robbie and Randy Bachman.
Right.
No, you have another Bachman. One of them was playing drums.
Paul Bachman.
Well, Robbie played drums.
Okay.
Tim played second guitar, and Randy was lead.
Okay.
So Randy would be backing vocals and lead, and sometimes Tim would be lead vocal and backing vocals.
Right.
Turner only did backing vocals. Yeah. So yeah, basically it's a Bachman thing. Turner did some writing and played the bass.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved like the voices. It was very, I like the sound, like the sound of the singing. It's different. It's kind of got this like almost like spoken poetry kind of vibe to it on some of the songs.
It's got 70s rock written all over
Oh
it.
yeah, and I mean
Yeah,
it is
it is about as quasi typical as 70s rock can be. That is
yeah,
BTO, that's
yeah, yeah. I mean I can see why listening to this one album, they kind of had a short, but like they had a short massive explosion of success.
yeah,
And
they
I
went
can
way up and
and
dropped
went way
way down.
down. Yep. So you have this giant peak. And I can totally see that, You got 2 killer songs. You got 3 killer songs over the course of 2 albums. So like out of 18 songs, then just everything else from there just kind of is like, fizzles out, which is, like you said, a little sad because I mean clearly these guys have a little bit of talent at the very least. They've
Well,
got a
yeah,
couple
Bachman
number
and
one.
the Guess Who. So we're
Yeah.
maybe spread too thin. I don't know. It just
Yeah, that could be it. So that is my review for Bachman Turner Overdrive number 2.
Your first of the year.
My
yes.
first.
So my pick tonight, I'm going a bit wild sonic alternative here. This album did get released during what we term here in Buffalo, when we call it the Canadian Invasion. And maybe some of the music industry toward the East could say the same thing. They take their name as an homage to the automobile industry, especially Windsor and Detroit, which are relatively close in their proximity to the border. Where in Detroit, they apparently produced the first 2 records. I did not know that. I only have their third and on, this being their 4th record. I guess that's probably why during that time frame they were popular in Detroit to some degree. Would get them noticed and embraced in that area. But it wasn't until this album that I'm going to do that 13 Engines from York University in Toronto became a somewhat band in the stream of Canadian Invasion with their album Perpetual Motion Machine. Now, when I think of this it was 1994. The album came out in 93 in Canada. Because that's when they really came into the US in 94. I felt like this album is slightly underproduced. Listening to this again in years, I listen to it once a year at least. It just doesn't have that sound quality that music has today. Now, it was produced actually by the band's Alan Critchley, who actually went on to be a producer when he left the band. So it was done in-house, but it was better sonically than the prior albums for sure. But what is a killer is the unsuspecting hooks, a palette that reaches from the Doors-ish psychedelia to grungy rock and muddy sonic alternative. The clever, hooky lyrics are fun too, but mostly what you get here is a lot of buzz instead of fuzz, if you will, which makes this a very unique sounding record. Liken it to a little bit of maybe they had a little love for Neil Young and Crazy Horse on their guitar. I've seen them live, and it's high energy for nearly 90% of this album. But just to give you an idea, what's Bread in the Bone? Bread in the Bone is that name. What's the one? Oh, Dirty Little Rat. That's, you just know you're here. Dirty Little Rat. It has this whole very Doors-like mojo to it. I don't believe there's any keyboards, but the guitar work has that plunging sound. But it does have that Smoke and Ashes. There's very clever hooky lyrics. One of the song Savior, he talks about seeing one of these creatures on TV, and you were live on the CBC, and you could do this, and please pinch me, kiss me, do something, just really clever in how they do things. A little ambiguous in their lyrical style too. They did not last much longer than that. Their next album would be their last, although they were touring and playing songs off an album that never got released, and it was finished. And still to this day has never seen the light of day, maybe because of the record label, I don't know. But my choice was 13 Engines, Perpetual Motion Machine. I want to thank my panelists for crossing the border once again. No, not Mexico. We'll do this again in 2 weeks. But when I say that, we're moving. What? Yes, no longer on Thursdays.
Pack up the moving van.
you're
Back up to
moving.
Winnebago. We're moving the kids. We're moving to Saskatchewan. No, we're moving
Middle
to
of Missoula.
We're moving the show to Tuesdays due to scheduling. And on Tuesday this week, I will let all you viewers in that know more about the channel and where things are headed when I do that video. But please like and comment. Let us know how you're doing, what you're doing. Happy New Year. What are you listening to? Please check out our past albums right now that we're talking about from 2023. We did 23 of those albums. The panelist favorite show was a fun ride from my house. Everybody was just about here except Everett and Jeff Young. And a lot of great albums were mentioned in that, too, that you might want to check out. Obviously, we're on the web at BeyondYourRadio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, who knows what else. But the podcast is coming soon. As always, thank you for watching and happy listening.
Aloha.
Hasta la vista.